Cranberry Island. That's beautiful. Wait to see the Cranberry Island. They came back in the mid-50s. I was on Great Cranberry, and they rented a house there. It fell through. They came over to our island and rented a place here. And that was when they saw this house. George Bunker and Robert and Helen Hellman, they bought the house together. And then I moved over from Great Cranberry. And so I was in this house until I was leaving Dartmouth and got my own place. But I worked along with Helen in all of her studies. She was doing a doctorate, Michel de Gelderode, the Belgian playwright. And I worked with the plays and the language and everything about it. She worked for a doctorate. I followed her with everything. Every book of mine Helen has, so whatever is left now is the entire thing, because I didn't start publishing until the 60s. I'd met her in the 50s. So she and Robert had everything I'd done. So that's about 40 books that they would have of my work. So we were close, and I would visit her in New York City. The last year, she was very, very feeble. Her strength was down, but her mind was clear, so we could have lively conversations. And so that was my relation with Helen and how they came to Islesford, the Cranberry Isles. And this is when Robert was working on translations of the French fables. And so that was a chance for me to do illustrations of these little stories. And for him, and it was informal, and it was done with his friend Gorman. They worked together on the translations of the French tales of the early tale that were adapted by other writers later. But I did the little illustrations for this, and this came out before anything of mine was published in this number. Good.
Were you at Black Mountain?
What is that?
Were you at Black Mountain?
I wasn't at Black Mountain, but he and Helen were at Black Mountain with Charles
I think that
Olson.
was a very
And Charles Olson used to come here and spend time on the island as well. And that was, we all know Kate Bunker, Kate Olson Bunker, who was the daughter of Charles Olson, and she spent summers here at other times as well.
This is Charles Olson.
You know, his poems, Olson.
I think that was an important moment in Helen's life, Black Mountain.
Yes, it was for many people.
Meeting all of
The artists and writers
writers, all the
musicians,
luminaries of American
dance
art.
choreographers, they all were there at that time. Yes,
It's good.
good country.
So you didn't talk about your Cooper Union days.
Oh, well, it's through Cooper Union that I came here. I came back from the Second World War to Cooper Union to complete my studies. I was drafted at 19, and so I completed the studies in 1946, the very year that the Skowhegan School of Art was established. So I'm coming from the war and New York to an environment like central Maine, around Lake Wessarunset, and it was such an extraordinary experience against what I was trying to balance out that I said, I'm going to come back. So on weekends when we come to Acadia and see the islands, we asked the Maine students to find a place for us on the islands. And that's how I came to know the Great Cranberry community, from those late 40s when I spent the time on those islands, yes. But it was through Cooper Union scholarship to Skowhegan School of Art that Maine opened for me.
So what did you do in the war?
I was in a port battalion, stevedores, segregated army, white Southern officers. You can tell the rest of the story. It was all I could do to hold on. I had my sketch pad and I drew. And they tried to stop me, but I wouldn't stop. But I kept it in my gas mask.
So you were a
And I drew all
stevedore?
through.
A stevedore, did you say?
Yes, loading and unloading. That's why in the,
Whereabouts?
in the invasion. But you can read it in my autobiography. Look up Tales from my, look up Words to My Life Song, or whatever it's called. It finally, no one knew, look, no one knew anything about this until a symposium that I attended for over 15 years, studying young people's literature.
Yeah.
And that year they said, we'll do studies of young people's books on war and peace. And I said, when I was in the army, in my guess, you were in the army? Well, it's not in 15 years. I never said a word about anything of the army. It never came out. And that's the way it is with most veterans, which is why a third of them are homeless. They don't talk, but they have to endure it. So no funny stuff, children.